people are watching this closely. You didn't really get much out of Springfield. I heard that Springfield may be a suspected sundown town. I'm not sure. The fact that happened the way it did, it makes me believe, but I think it is a suspected sundown town. I know I told you about that sister that was working at FedEx. She can't deliver in certain places in Springfield. So I think it is a suspected sundown town. This officer was charged with murder with this race soldier. Let me get it correct. This race soldier was charged with murder. Come to find out, he done got caught with drinking and driving. He's a wife beater, all kind of shit. He ain't even supposed to be on the force. So he's locked up right now. Chicago's been turning up a bit because, you know, you ain't really gonna get much of a turn up out in Springfield. I don't think like that. So Chicago kind of turned up. I'm not exactly sure. I haven't really heard no rioting. I know that if they start playing around, if they start talking like, oh, we gonna let him go and this, that, and the third, you might hear some in Chicago. And if Chicago really turns up, because Chicago, you gotta think, it's like 10 times bigger than Minneapolis. If there's some real, if it's some real turn up in Chicago, LA gonna turn up. And then there's a problem. There's a real problem. Oh, it's if
Chicago or Illinois hurried up and fired them and charged them with murder.
Yeah, if Chicago starts turning up more than what them, I mean, because they had quite a few people out there that were marching and stuff. But if they got the plan now, if it's some situations where they start talking about, well, we charging them, but they you know, he's getting let out on something funny style. Yeah, I think it's gonna get a little rougher. And then if it becomes some rioting, if it's some property damage and some rioting going on, then the rest of the city's gonna probably step in too. And if California turns up, it's a wrap. You know, California's, you know, their track record is platinum plated. If California turns up, yeah, you looking at some billions of dollars. You looking at some serious you gonna look at some real serious repercussions, because they don't play around out there. They really got, you know, we know the history on LA and Watts and stuff, man. When they step out, they step out tough. And
they turn up.
Now you said something before. One thing you did say, you said if there was some reparations, it's gonna come from California. Now what did you mean by that? Where was your prediction on that? Why did you think of California?
Will be the trigger of it because of the ability to unite.
Okay.
They can unite the same way you've seen all these gangs. Then they took the Nipsey Hussle situation and they just squared it. You know, they just got cool with each other. So if you got all these heads of these gangs and they got together, and they said, hey man, why don't we fucking get together? Let's get ours from these fucking race soldiers. Let's really turn up. Let's turn up. Let's focus. Because the terms that I use to describe foundationals of where they're struggling is unity, hierarchy. What are the LA gangs? Unity and hierarchy. You got a head boss, a head leader, a big U, or somebody even above big U for the Crips, and another guy, whack 100 type for the Bloods, and this and that. The same way they was able to march for Nipsey, get together, let's get ours out these race soldiers.
I think LAPD was terrified that day.
Of course.
They were terrified because they're like, okay.
Wasn't killed in California.
You said what?
Really lucky.
You said what happened?
Had Floyd been killed in California, it would have been a real problem.
Oh, it would have been. I think it would have been 15 times worse. I think it would have been 92 again.
There's no question.
It would have been 92 again.
This what happened surpassed 92.
Yeah,
as far as violence and damage done to the city, 92 is nothing compared to this.
92. Let me see.
Minnesota triggered a nationwide riot.
International too.
International riot. Now see if California was doing the same thing on reparations. Like if California, blacks in California were turning up off to where my fucking money. Boom. Like the guy that I keep sending you that clip, the guy in Florida.
Let's play that.
That guy right there speaking the truth.
You were pretty impressed by that video clip.
Very.
You were very impressed by that video clip. Let me see if I can find it. It was on Tampa. And I said, where is Tampa at? Okay, here it goes. This is from a year ago. $3 million now. All right, let's see what he see. Okay, hold on. Let me see. All right, skip ad. Here we go. Okay, hold on. All right. Come on, damn it. Okay, hold on.
Don't nobody care about that. Don't nobody real care about that. We care about our reparations. And we have to put white people on notice that we want our reparations. That our foreparents and us, we didn't work for free and underpaid and all this nonsense. And the white folks get away with it. And they talk about the great city they're building. No, we want our reparations. $3 million per person. $3 million per person right here in this city. That's the only thing black people got to care about. All this other little nonsense y'all talk about, we do not care about.
And that comes on the heels of just yesterday, a group of lawmakers stepping in to bolster reparation efforts that would benefit descendants of enslaved Africans. Just yesterday, Representative Cori Bush, a Democrat from Missouri, came on the Capitol steps there as they unveiled Reparations Now, a resolution that urges the federal government to take action to compensate the descendants of slaves. The measure is meant to bring attention back to H.R. 40, the slow-moving federal bill that has been introduced to Congress.
Now, let me tell you about H.R. 40 a little bit. H.R. 40, it's... I'll say this. The folks that's supposed to represent us, Congressional Black Caucus, all them Negroes, they've been dragging their feet on that. They should have had that out the way long time ago. Now, what you heard with that brother saying, he's like, look, cut the damn check. Now, if you see in the headlines where you sent me this, it says federal push for reparation gains steam in Congress. That was putting them kind of on notice, and that's just one brother. Now, what has to happen is that has to be all day, every black home, nationwide. To the point when somebody walks out the house, all they hear is, hey, what do you think about the weather? Reparations. Don't give a damn about the weather. Cut the check. To where it's, cause see, let me tell you what Nazi Germany did. What they did is they started speaking out against the Jewish folks initially. They started in their homes, and then it became a worldwide or a Germany-wide thing. Oh, well, these Jews here, you know, it's their fault. Everything's their fault. And unfortunately, what happened is they did what they did. They start holding them responsible for the economics. Oh, you know, y'all are doing this and you doing that, or whatever they were saying, whatever their beef was, and they made up lies if they could. But what they did is the Germans all got on code and they said, okay, how could we get rid of these folks? Do you know what their motto was?
What?
Their motto was Jim Crow. A lot of people don't know this. Their motto was Jim Crow. They were like, man, how can we get rid of these folks through a whole city? And Hitler didn't think, at first he didn't think he could do it. He was like, damn, this is a big country. How do we get rid of these people? How do we put them all together and take their businesses? And I'm like, so they didn't really know how to do it. And they didn't think it could be done. And then they looked over at the US and said, wait a minute. You got Negroes through not a country, but the whole, I mean, it was a country. Of course, Germany's probably the size of Texas or maybe Florida or something. I don't know. But they're like, you got a whole damn country that's 40 times bigger than Germany. And you mean from top to bottom, from north to south, you could undermine blacks? Wow.
Right.
Whoa, this could, you guys are really doing that over here? And so they probably, me personally, I think they talked to somebody. I think they made some letters or calls like, hey man, we need to do what y'all did, but a smaller scale. Whatever, we need all the points. We need to study what y'all did. Okay, how did you get these niggas to do this? Okay, well, we took them off the slave boats. We stripped them of their heritage. We made them work for free. Okay, but how did you keep them on the plantation? And I believe it was a conversation that went like this. The white supremacists over there were probably like, okay, well, you know, we couldn't keep them on the plantation. We had Nat Turner, we had John Brown, we had Harriet Tubman, we had some real stomp down riders that was giving us the business. We couldn't keep them on the plantation. They broke out of that. The Seminole Maroons down there in Florida, they was kicking the military's ass. And that's documented when I'm telling, for the younger people that don't know that. The Florida Maroons down there was giving the US government military that work. I'm talking about putting hands and feet. So we couldn't keep them on the plantation because they was busting our ass down here. That's the American story they never want people to know. But what we were able to do is after the plantation, well, we didn't give them 40 acres and a mule. We didn't do what we were supposed to do with the 14th Amendment. You know, we got to restructure white supremacy where race soldiers rule supreme. So we created the black codes. Let's create something else. Jim Crow laws. Okay, let's create peonage. Let's lock some niggas up. Let's just say, hey, you black, you did a crime. String him up. Because there was more lynchings after the plantations. You see what I'm saying? They weren't gonna lynch a bunch of black people that was on a plantation. That's your property. That's your cattle. That makes you wealthy. That's what made King Cotton, Queen Sugar. Queen Sugar. Sugar was, you know, in Louisiana. Sugar was a big thing. Sugar was where you got your wealth. King Cotton was in Mississippi. Cotton was where you got your wealth in Mississippi. So they can't work for free. Let's just put them back in chains by saying, hey, you don't work, you committed a crime. So let's create a bunch of laws to say, yeah, you committed a crime. I'm white, not say so on steroids. You're like, well, you know, sir, I wasn't there. Oh, well, you raped a white woman. String them up. Let's create a law here, a law there. Let's just create every law we can to undermine blacks, because we can't suppress them and make them work for free how we want. So we got to come up with all kinds of different ways. So Jim Crow, once they figured that out, Germany was like, well, hey, I want to know about that. I can use that. And that's what they did. Nazi Germany was based off of the Jim Crow South for the descendants of the slaves. The whole entire plan was based off of Jim Crow. Jim Crow laws and the black codes. Completely. If you watch The Pianist by, what's the guy's name? He was in the Predator movie. I'm gonna give y'all some bars right quick, because you know how I analyze movies and stuff, man. The Pianist, well, was it Pianist? The Pianist came out in 2002. Adrian Brody, he was in Cadillac Records as well. If you watch The Pianist, and I recommend everybody to watch The Pianist. It's about a guy that plays the piano, and this was going back to Nazi Germany. All of these steps that I said that they did, they were taking steps bit by bit. At first, when they were pulling the Jewish folks out of their homes, they were like, okay, well, you know, that was reminiscent of the Klan, right? So each little step they would do, at first the people thought, well, you just going over here. Then they put you somewhere else. Then they put you in a camp. Then they say, all right, time to take a shower. You thinking you're going to take a shower. Then they gas you. They started doing stuff just like Jim Crow. Hey, you can't walk on this sidewalk. Now, if you pay attention to that movie, you'll see where there's a Jewish dude walking on the sidewalk, and there was a soldier that basically says, hey, get your ass off this sidewalk. You're Jewish. You can't walk on the sidewalk. That's what they used to do in Jim Crow. A white person walking down the sidewalk, black person walking down the sidewalk, he'd have to get off the sidewalk, walk in the gutter or something. And then the white person, if you look up at the white person, he might spit on you or something like that. So it was basically apartheid. It was pretty much apartheid on steroids. So, you know, just so folks know, that's what they did. That's how Nazi Germany, you know, they got all their bars and information from, you know, black Americans in the American South. That's how they got it going. That's how they subjugated them. So, you know, when they say this, when you think of like the Nazi American Party and all of that kind of stuff or whatever, a lot of those folks and then once America got involved and won, they were shipping, if you ever heard about Operation Paperclip, they were shipping Nazi war criminals to America. When they were using Jim Crow laws and they told black folks they got to go to the back of the theater, there was Nazi war criminals sitting in the front of the theater, man. A lot of people don't know that. It was black Americans when some of the Jewish folk, when they had left and they were going into hiding and all that, there was black folks that was hiding them. It was black folks abroad that was saving them, and it was black folks that were hiding them at, I believe it was HBCUs. Because some people fled. Some people left Germany and came over here, Jewish folks. To this day, they still are hunting down Nazi war criminals. That's why black folks was riled up, and they should have even been more. And I'm going to tell you something. The ones that's voting for Harris right now, they weren't the ones riled up about what happened with Emmett Till and Carolyn Bryant not going to prison. I want to be very clear on my listeners. Those weren't those type of Negroes. These we should change type ass niggas, those weren't the ones that was saying, hey, we should raise hell and we should at least speak against it, to say, hey, wait a minute, you got a black DOJ attorney that won't honor the murder warrant for Carolyn Bryant. You see what I'm saying? So, you know, my point of that matter is they wouldn't honor that. But to this day, they just had a Nazi dude. They gaffled up. He was 80 years old. They didn't give a damn how old he was. He was in Minnesota. They shipped his ass back to Germany to be prosecuted. They probably shot his ass or something, or hung him, or he got lethal injection or something. Oh, you gonna pay for this? If you was a coon, a collaborator, or if you was a Nazi war criminal, if you had anything to do with the Holocaust, and they know who you are, they don't care how old you are. You got to answer for that. You got to answer for that. Yeah. Them folks are still, you got folks that done changed their name that had something to do with the Holocaust. If you had something to do with the Holocaust, and that's exactly what my point of the matter is, long story, the Congressional Black Caucus, they wear black as a pseudo uniform. Well, I'm for black people. They don't really give a damn about black folk. They're there for a check and a Cadillac and a nice cushy job in Washington, D.C., so they could basically scare us into voting for them, and they get something and they get paid. But then when you have situations like, for example, Sandra in Springfield, Illinois, right now they should be down there sitting with Harris and Joe like, man, we need a crime bill. Even if they don't get it, they should be sitting down representing our interests. And they're not. What they're going to say is what you said earlier. They're going to say, hey, you ain't black. Oh, you a sellout. Oh, if you don't vote for the first black woman, you a sellout. Oh, you don't want Trump in, dude. If Trump gets in, the sky gonna fall. The Boogeyman gonna come out the closet. You know, when he got all kinds of razor blades and Wolverine claws, and he has acid rain, and he's gonna spray you. That's the narrative that they're using. Project.
Yeah, but if she can get in with that fan base is very outstanding, and they're very easy to please.
Yes, absolutely.
You gotta think, Obama's black ass, he still got people that like him.
Yeah.
He didn't pass one law he did nothing for blacks besides hand out some free cell phones.
Right, yeah.
Nothing, but he's still got a strong fan base.
You know, I could ask the average black person. I asked the average black person, hey, what did he do? I said, let's just be honest. Listen, and you know what? They never could tell me anything. Well, you know what they do? They bring up Trump. Well, Trump. I said, no. I said, we'll get to Trump later. What did he do that improved your neighborhood? What did he do? Did he do anything? And they can't really say anything. They always use hope and change. Hope and change.
Obama's fan base Obama's fan base wants to say we were the ones who created change. As in a change in the dynamic of who's in office, not in the change in the ideology of who's in office. You see what I'm saying? So they don't, it's just, well, I was in there, let's vote in the first black. Let's do it. We need a black in there. That's it. It's just a game. It's a hustle.
I want to play something for you. I want to play something for you and see what you think about this. No, hold on. I got to get a better one.
Hope you'll call.
Fair use, YouTube.
Fucking hope, man. Hope you gonna pay your goddamn rent. Hope your car work. Come on, man, ain't no but bullshit.
No, I'm just saying. I think a lot of black people are being brainwashed.
It ain't got nothing to do with them. And here, if you say I'd like to go to Paris this year, but I can't afford, you just told 75 trillion cells to see to you don't get to Paris. Huh? That's who you are. And when you find that out, when they told me I had the worst cancer you can find, I told my son, Doc, I said, let me show that to your mother. Show that to your sister. Then I gave it the report. What they do this and said, yeah, you better get out. You think I'm leaving this place here for your high school sweet on you want your money? I ain't going nowhere. I know I'm not going nowhere. If you hope don't work. You never heard no rich, powerful motherfucker say hope I'll win the war. Real folks know they're gonna win the war before they start, except they don't come in.
Dick Gregory says fuck hope. I never thought about it like that. I've never heard a rich, powerful. I don't even think I heard Donald Trump use the word hope. I don't think I've ever heard him use, well, I hope this gonna happen. I've never heard nobody with a lot of money that has a lot of power, and leverage use the word hope. I have not used the word. I haven't used that. I'm saying I've never heard nobody use that term.
Those are democratic terms. Those are democratic terms that ploy people into voting. Democratic tactics.
How old were you? Because I admit I voted for Barack the first time. How old were you when the jig was up? What year was it when you were like, oh, hold on, this nigga on some bullshit. This shit ain't working.
It probably took the second Obama term.
Same for me.
Once we got to the second term, and he said, wait a minute, everything's the same. Niggas is dying. He ain't even really speaking as a black man. He never really talked to America. He never showed America the voice of a black man.
Let me ask you this here. Did you know, because you always had, used to ask questions about Old Block and all that kind of, 600 and all them, and the rappers out there. Did you know that Old Block is right over there in I think Obama has a house there, or like some kind of museum. I mean, that was right in their neck of the woods. Did you know that I think Washington Park or something, that right in that whole area, just not too long from there, just a few blocks down, maybe a few miles at the most, you have one of the most deadliest, gang wars, or well known, that we probably have known about. Right in that neck of the woods. And I said, well, wait a minute.
Stop the violence in O Block.
You said what?
What has he done to stop the violence in O Block?
I bet he ain't never even been there. Now they said, oh, it would have been too dangerous. It wouldn't have been too dangerous for them. See, here's the thing with what Negroes used to always say. Oh, well, he can't do this. It's dangerous. The Republicans gonna stop him. White America you signed an oath. So whatever your life is on the line. You swore your soul help me God. You willing to put your life on the line. That was the oath you swore. Man, you should have pulled up with about 10 trucks, some Suburban. I guess he figures niggas like chicken. Order niggas some Popeyes or some Harold's or something. Some Church's chicken. And sit out there at Old Block and talk to niggas. Look, man, this is what I could do. This is like, for example, I sent you a program where it was some folks talking to a pastor. And this pastor was in Detroit. And the church was in the hood. And Donald pulled up. At first, you know, they didn't think he was gonna show up, but he pulled up. And he was talking to him, and you know, like he was telling the folks, like, hey man, hey, look, this whole reparations thing, you know my base, right? You remember the same thing you said, like, hey, my base, you know, I gotta tread lightly on this. Like, I gotta be real, you know, like, cause my base ain't, you know.
They ain't trying to hear that.
Yeah, they start hearing me talk about reparations, so, you know, we gonna have to, I can't really do all that right now. Like, I can't really come out with that. I can't really be talking about that like that. You see what I'm saying? So he kind of let the pastor know, like, you know, we could, you know, let's talk about trying to get, you know, some black businesses and some shit going on or whatnot, you know. So, but that's what he could have did. You don't show up with this hope BS, and then Old Blocks gets a few blocks down. You at least clean up Chicago. See, that's what bothered me. And then when he got on there talking about all these thugs in Baltimore, I said, oh, hell no. And the Flint was the worst. When he made that joke about the water in Flint, I was done. I said, nope. I don't.
People in Flint are done with him too.
Yeah, that did it for me. When I seen that clip, that did it for me. And I think when I first showed you the clip, when I showed it to you, you were like, oh man, he ought to be ashamed of himself. Cause that was beyond politics. You stepping on them people now. You talking down to them now. That ain't politics no more.
So he's a low life, so it all works out, you know.
Yeah. So
one side's not surprising, unfortunately, that he would do that because he's a total low life. He should have been out there thinking about how he could square up Flint.
Yeah, he could have did something for Flint. Like Flint was I believe a politically, socio-economically induced situation. I mean, that wasn't accidental what they did with Flint. What they did with that water, man, where they was messing with them lines or doing all that and rerouting all that poison, I mean, that wasn't no accident. And ain't nobody went to jail. Somebody should have did a life sentence for that because you hurt a lot of people. So, you know, I think with that did it for me. The Baltimore thing did it for me. And, you know, I understand a politician, they gonna BS you, you know, but there's just certain things you shouldn't do. See, I started thinking about the backyard. I said, well, you know, Minnesota's pretty prosperous, but a lot of brothers and sisters in Chicago are having issues. They kept talking. I remember there was some girl that was on I don't remember, it was a dance team or it was something where she went to go speak to Michelle and Obama, and it was a black girl. You probably heard about this. They say she was a good kid. She ended up getting killed. And it was in Chicago when it happened. And I think she got killed. It was about maybe 5 to 7 years ago. And I think the Obamas had said something about it. And I was like, wait a minute. Chicago is a world-class city. LA, Houston, New York, Chicago. These are the leaders of fashion, commerce, everything. But right here in your backyard, you're not going to be able to clean up everything, but you could do a lot. The attention should have been on, okay, let's get some foundational blacks and grants. Let's put this all on the table. Now, if niggas is, and then here's the thing, Chicago's a gangster city. It's just a corrupt city in general. It's been like that since Al Capone. This ain't no city, for example, with the highs and the lows and all that. That RICO, that's pretty much gonna wipe out damn near everybody. If they want to come in, you got 2 or 3 more RICOs, like that documentary I just sent you where they said the Somali gangs. These niggas is on camera talking about doing shit. They can RICO that easy if they want to. If they just say, you know what, we want to eliminate crime tomorrow in Minnesota, we gonna RICO all these niggas. All they gotta do is put like a 200-300 man RICO. They can stop the shootings in a month if they really want to.
If they did that,
huh?
How many? If they shut down all the gangs and all the violence and did a lot of people out of work?
Yeah, right. And the prison system got to make money, so they don't want to do that. They don't want to do that, you know. They don't want to do that.
They're not in business to stop the gangs. They're in business to arrest the gangs.
That's why in LA, it's a big thing where some of the OGs has said, well, when they get out of jail and they try to do the gang intervention, there's been situations. I think I sent you that video where I think during the Watts riots, or it was some kind of truce from 92 or sometime within the last 20, 30 years, there was a truce. What the police was doing was they was doing grimy stuff. They was doing stuff like, they know there's a truce, so what they'll do is they'll find an OG or like an outstanding member, somebody that's respected in the streets, and they'll pull him over, impound his car, and lock him up a few days. The police will dress up as a gang member, take the car out the impound, go to another hood and do a hit. They'll shoot up the projects or they'll do something, and so now the guy that might have some pull, he's in jail for a little while. So now the other OGs is like, well, damn, wait a minute. We had a truce. Now you gotta think, these folks been at each other's necks probably over 30 years. It took a long time to get to this point where we're not shooting at each other every day, right? So now y'all pull this, that's what they're thinking. They're like, yo, oh, it's back on and cracking right now. We ain't never gonna have another truce again. If y'all pull the back door like this, all set up by the race soldiers, the LAPD. This is the kind of stuff that they be doing. You see what I'm saying? That they would do stuff like that. There's stuff, I gotta find that video, man. But I believe that, brother. That's something that they would do.
In jail with rival gang members.
They do that. We've heard of the whistleblowers. Matter of fact, let's play it. This ain't me talking. This is the whistleblowers talking. This is the whistleblowers talking. Okay. LAPD whistleblower. And what I was saying earlier, if they wanted to just RICO everybody, but like you said, they're not in the business they're not trying to stop anything. The so-called Minneapolis gang problem, they can shut it down in a week if they wanted to. When you get cities like Chicago, LA, I don't even think they really could. It's too big. And then you have too many crooked cops. You got crooked cops you got gang members that are cops. You got, man, probably thousands of gang members that are cops. You see what I'm saying? Check this out.
You ready to go?
Yes, sir.
You got it.
This is video of the late LAPD officer Houston Tipping during a training session with a stun gun. The 32-year-old died in May during a different training exercise. Brad Gage, who represents Tipping's mother, has been raising questions as to why cameras weren't recording that fateful day.
LAPD claims that there was no video taken of the training this day. We don't believe that's accurate.
Gage points out how much our world plays out on camera, like this edited video of Tipping riding his department bike with fellow officers. Even though a coroner's report ruled that Tipping's death was an accident, Gage says Tipping was targeted by other officers because he was a whistleblower in an assault case involving LAPD. We asked Gage to show us documentation of what he alleges took place about 10 months before Tipping's death.
LAPD claims in Public Records Act requests that there was no incident reported at all.
According to a coroner's report, Tipping died of a spinal cord injury after a grappling exercise.
Yeah, to break somebody's back, that's just one. That's just one. There was another one. Okay, LAPD. Here we go. This one's recent. Jeez.
There's a different kind of gang problem in Los Angeles County. The people meant to serve and protect a population of more than 9 million people, allegedly part of powerful gangs going back decades, according to watchdog groups and the alleged victims of their crimes. Groups of LA sheriff deputies with threatening names like the Banditos, the Cavemen, the Executioners. The deputies rep their cliques, tattooing their bodies with logos and throwing up gang signs. The gang's facing allegations.
Man, these dudes, bro, these dudes is throwing up sets just like the LA gangs, bro. They're a damn LA gang in the police department. I'm sitting here, I gotta send it to you. I'm sitting here looking at this. These dudes is throwing up just like they got a whole crew.
Use violent, excessive force against Angelenos.
To me, they're punks. The people that killed my sons, that executed my sons.
And intimidate fellow deputies who don't play along.
Dead rats in front of people's homes.
The terror.
So this lady was saying that other officers that don't get on board, they'll leave a dead rat at the house. Kind of letting you know, hey, don't think of whistleblowing. You know, you ever got it on your mind and you gonna whistleblow, you gonna tell on us? Yeah, we'll get rid of you.
Behavior costing the LA County taxpayers a fortune. The Inspector General's office counts $54 million in settlements involving deputy gang activity. The first obstacle to eradicating them, though, many past sheriffs dispute their very existence.
Well, you're still trying to pretend the deputy gang exists and work in the countryside pillaging. The investigation continues.
But the current sheriff, Robert Luna, who took office in late 2022, went public with his efforts to combat the problem.
We must eliminate deputy gangs.
A city and state approved civilian oversight commission released a 70-page report last year on how the sheriff's office should crack down on them. The commission's special counsel telling us they turned over a list of more than 20 recommendations. But so far, members of that oversight board, as well as attorneys for the victims, say Sheriff Luna hasn't put a stop to the gangs like he promised.
It's a lot bigger than one sheriff. It's sheriff after sheriff, administration after administration.
In a statement to NBC News, the LA Sheriff's Office say they've drafted a new law enforcement gang, clique, and subgroups policy, but that it's still under negotiation with the powerful deputy.
Here's the thing. Just like what happened with the George Floyd incident up here, when he was lynched, you know, a lot of cops quit. They didn't quit because they were being mistreated. They quit because they couldn't continue to be race soldiers, and the microphone was on them, the microscope. You see? Yeah. They're like, well, okay, well, wait a minute. Defund the police. Y'all don't want us here? Okay. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
When they say, okay, they got this highlighted in yellow, the department has drafted a new law enforcement gang, clique, and subgroups policy, which has been reviewed by oversight bodies and is in now with the labor. They spelled somebody had a typo, with the labor unions in the meet and confer process. Now, they know who these folks are. They're playing dumb. A lot of them, oh, well, we don't know, like the last sheriff chief or whatnot. He's sitting up here. He's trying to make it seem as if he don't know. Oh, I don't know who it is, and this ain't happening. He's in denial. Makes me wonder if he's part of it.
Yeah.
Deputies Union.
We don't get it. Turn it down. We were trying to publicize the existence of the deputy gangs and put the community in power over the gangs and over the sheriff department itself.
So you got a bunch of Latinos out here saying to abolish the police. Now, what these guys, these deputy gangs, some of them got little bylaws and stuff they got to do. Like, I've heard of reports of these folks. They say, well, they have to execute another black or Latino. Most of these folks in these deputy gangs are Latino, white and Latino gangs. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And let me see. There was another one. How Sheriff created the most powerful gang. Now this is a documentary. This is from 3 years ago.
New CoverGirl.
Oh shoot. Damn CoverGirl crap. Hold on. Waiting for this ad to play through. Waiting for this ad. I hate it when them ads pop up like that. Okay, here we go.
An alleged gang of sheriff's deputies within the... Now Now to an Eyewitness News investigation. An alleged gang of sheriff's deputies within the LA County Sheriff's Department known as the Executioners. Their alleged tattoo depicts a skeleton in flames, an AK-47, and a Nazi-style helmet.
Now, keep in mind, Nazi-style helmet. Why would a Latino person have something like that? Who are they plugged in with?
Hernandez has a closer look at the pressure mounting on the department to open their files on any groups like this.
From inside the Compton Sheriff Station,
fair use, YouTube, fair use.
Branded with a sinister logo,
which is
according to the station, a deputy's claim filed with a county about an aggressive band of his cohorts allegedly in control. According to the claim, members are branded with a sinister logo,
which is a skeleton wearing a Nazi helmet with an AK-47 laughing,
and go by a sinister name.
I'm looking at some of these guys. They actually got a mouse. Now they're doing this at work. This is overt. They got a mouse and a mouse pad with the Nazi helmet. It says 28, Compton, California.
Executioners, which according to the claim does not allow African American or female members.
See?
Deputy Art Gonzalez alleges the deputy gang is trampling on the rights of citizens and targeting him as a whistleblower.
Deputy Gonzalez, he's afraid for his safety right now, as he should be. This is a violent gang, violence, shootings, beatings.
Why y'all beating him?
Claims of excessive force and much more. And the timing. As community outcry demands systemic change, allegations in the filing claim that as many as 40% of Compton deputies are inked executioners or prospects.
Man, that's half of the whole damn team. 40%? That's almost half of the team, bro. That's almost everybody.
Rumblings reaching the sheriff.
Well, first of all, there is no gang of any deputies running any station right now. This
dude's lying. Sheriff Alex Villanova, he's lying right on the camera.
He's already been receiving very swift administrative action. We've already taken positive steps.
Man, if you look at his body language, you could even see. I want to play this again. I wish you could see this. If you look at his body language, he's looking like, nigga, I don't even want to be bothered with this interview. You could look at the way he cuts his eyes and see he's lying.
It's reaching the sheriff.
Well, first of all, there is no gang of any deputies running any station right now. This matter is already
He cut his eyes, he looked up at the ceiling, he looked over to the left. He's lying.
And receiving very swift administrative action. We've already taken positive steps.
Pressure for change is intensifying. Professor Sean Kennedy at Loyola Law School releasing a 2-year study of deputy gangs, including the executioners.
Often, the inking is attached to some kind of act of violence, including a shooting. It's the ultimate expression of your commitment to policing and your commitment to the deputy gang.
The complainant, Deputy Art Gonzalez, is a former U.S. Marine decorated for his service in Iraq, Afghanistan. Here in Compton, once praised for speedy action to save a 4-year-old boy shot in the head. The tipping point? Gonzalez says he witnessed a deputy executioner assaulting a fellow deputy. Gonzalez called a confidential tip line for internal affairs. To his shock, he says in his claim, the recording was intercepted.
Can you imagine that? Now these whistleblowers, when you're a whistleblower, that's supposed to be anonymous. So somebody on the hotline is working with the executioners too. This is systemic. This is systemic. Yeah, I remember that dude. Okay. Now this is 2 years ago. Second whistleblower
Now
filed.
here at noon, breaking news, deepening legal troubles for the LA County Sheriff. Another whistleblower complaint has just been filed. This time, a former assistant sheriff claims she was retaliated against in the aftermath of a use of force incident. You are watching KCAL9 News here at noon and streaming on CBS News Los Angeles. I'm Jasmine Veal. All right, let's get right
Fair
to
use, YouTube, fair use.
Cal senior reporter Ross Palomo live in the newsroom with more on this new complaint, Ross, against Sheriff Villanueva.
Well, that's right, Jasmine. The claim was filed just minutes ago, and we have the copy. This is the highest-ranking person to accuse the sheriff so far, and her allegations are the most striking. She says that she herself is the one who showed Sheriff Villanueva that controversial use of force video just 5 days after it happened. And she says she was eventually demoted over all of it. Now, until just a few weeks ago, Robin Limon here was the assistant sheriff, part of the command staff, and just below Villanueva himself. Now she's filed a claim saying he tried to frame her and retaliated against her by forcing her to choose between retiring or being demoted 4 ranks. This all stemming from this incident that just came to light last month. An inmate at an LA County jail punches a deputy, then that deputy places his knee on that inmate, the LA Times says, for more than 3 minutes. It happened more than a year ago, but
This looked just like Chauvin. Now, what I'm looking at is a LA County jail video. There was a prisoner that socked the deputy, and then you got these dudes. It looked just like how Chauvin had Floyd. I'm looking at the camera right now. They got his knee on his neck. He looked like his neck's gonna break.
Came to light after it was leaked to the Times. The sheriff first claimed he didn't know about it until months later in October, then he revised that to say in November. Now, this lawsuit claiming Villanueva knew almost immediately because Limon says she is the person who brought him the video and watched it with him. But Limon also claims Villanueva then blocked a criminal investigation into the matter, lied about the incident, and claims he did not watch the video until November 2021 to fit a fake timeline. She is now charging that he obstructed and justice and covered up the incident and
So this dude, oh, he's a bad cookie, man. Oh man, these guys are worse than the criminals, bro.
It's terrible, man. These guys are just running around here lying and fooling people.
Here's another one. This happened 11 months ago.
Hi there. Yeah, we've seen several developments, new developments on this just within the past 24 hours. First, it was that potentially damning report by the LA Times, and now we've heard from LAPD Chief Michael Moore as well as LA Mayor Karen Bass, and now we're learning that the FBI is starting to investigate. So this involves officers accused of intentionally not turning on their body cameras during traffic stops. So here's what we know so far. According to the LAPD, this involves at least 2 officers from the Mission Area Gang Enforcement Detail in the San Fernando Valley. The department received a complaint about a man who was stopped by 2 officers and that his vehicle was searched without consent before he was later released without incident. The details on what actually happened during that stop are unclear. That complaint triggered an investigation by the Internal Affairs Division, and a review determined that the officers had not properly documented the stop or activated their body-worn cameras, which is required. This investigation led to similar undocumented incidents by other members of the division who failed to activate their body cameras. We know that some members of the area's gang enforcement detail have been placed on administrative leave, but so far we don't know how many. The LA Times also reporting that through their sources that in a rare move, last Thursday, investigators searched the lockers of some of the officers included in that search warrant. Now, a short time ago, we spoke to one community advocate who has been at the forefront of social justice and police reform locally. She says this is a step back for the agency that has been working to rectify its reputation from past incidents of misconduct.
My belief is that, again, if there's 2, there's 4, there's 8, there's 16, there are probably a lot more folks in the department who are doing this. Hopefully this investigation will help uncover it. I think what's going to be really important for Chief Moore is that, you know, once these investigations are...
Hold on, let me see who this lady is. She looks familiar. Jasmine Canick. Let me look her up real quick. She is... Was she with Black Lives Matter down there? In California, Black Lives Matter LA? I'm not sure. She's a journalist, so she's basically calling them out. So she's a journalist down there. Hold on. Uh-oh, Democratic Party. Okay, well let's see. Wait a minute. Okay. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. She wrote an essay called Gays First, Then Illegals, in which she argued that the LGBT community should be given... Uh-oh. All right. Okay, let me see here. Started tracking Democratic owner Ed Buck. Yeah, Ed Buck was like a serial killer. He was a big donor of the... And they got a lot of folks like that, man. The Democrats got a lot of these big donors. He was like a dude, a big donor. And what he was doing was he was basically giving the Democrats money, and he was like, and then now remember what I told you. Wealthy whites, they switch on and off. Whatever floats their boat with what policy, they'll move. It don't work for black folks that way. He was a Republican at one point in time before 88. You see what I'm saying? After 88, he was a Democrat. See, that works for them. That don't really work for us. That don't work for us like that. But see, what this dude was doing, he was having black LGBT men. He'd have them come to the house and give them some crystal meth, and you know what I'm saying? He'd have them tied up and all kind of stuff. So he was doing all kind of stuff. I think he was kidnapping them and doing all kind. He was like one of these weirdos. You see what I'm saying? So, but no. So yeah. So it looks like this Jasmine Koenig lady. See, when I see Democrat and I see her with the LGBT advocate. Yeah. See. I don't know, man, but yeah, so I guess she's speaking on what's going on, but yeah, where's her people from? Cameroon, the island of what? Where's this island she's from?
She's from the island.
She's from Cameroon. See, I that's why I was wondering. I said, hold on, bro. I'm getting Black Lives Matter corporate energy. Usually when they get a lot of, these activists that's been propped up, I'm looking from Essence and, I see a pattern. That's why I was wondering when I seen LGBT, I said, wait a minute. I said, I'm getting some Black Lives Matter corp. I said, this sound like one of these Negroes that, they'll throw them on the forefront, and you get to asking them about reparations or something. They're like, nah, LGBT. I said, okay, where's their folks from? Well, anyway, but yeah, man, them whistleblowers. But there was this other sister. She was on the Breakfast Club. Now I think she was getting death threats at one point. Let me see if I can find her. But she's been following up. Oh, okay. This sister right here. Her name is Cerise Castle. Fair use, Charlemagne.
Wake that ass. It's now that every police shooting across the United States is justified.
Wow. So why? I'm sure somebody asked why when he said that. What was his reasoning?
Well, he doesn't really give a reason. He's very much of the belief that the police are just justified in anything they do.
Okay, wait a minute. Let's see.
And it was something that always interested us. I couldn't get up. I couldn't.
Subsidiaries inside.
And, letting them know that I'm going to keep talking about this. Nothing is going to shut me up.
The safer, and I'm putting safer in quotation, the safer you become?
I think so. Mm-hmm. I think keeping the profile high and, letting them know that I'm going to keep talking about this. Nothing is going to shut me up. Will keep me safe.
Now, for people who want to read about this, was it a 5-part
15.
15 part.
15 part. It's long, but
Fair use.
It's worth the read. And it just goes to show that this has been going on for so long. These deputy gangs have been around in Los Angeles for at least 50 years. And I'm the first person to chronicle this history. This is stuff that they don't want you to know. But this is stuff that everyone in Los Angeles, and even outside of Los Angeles, you need to know. Because these deputy gangs, they don't play.
How hard is it to get people to talk on the record?
Well, let's talk about that when we come back. We're still talking with Cerise Castle. She's a crime-fighting journalist out of LA. She's telling us about the gangs inside the police department.
Sounds like Spider-Man.
Right?
Crime-fighting journalist.
These goofy ass niggas. Anyway, yeah. Shout out to that sister Cerise Castle. Let me see if I could pull up some of the work that she's done. Yeah, I think they got it out to try to get her, man.
Oh yeah, you already know that.
Yeah, they probably trying. Oh, here it goes right here. Is this the one that she did? Will Kamala wear a lime green pants? Why are all these? Oh Lord, damn man, these. Okay. Yep, a 15-part investigative series by Cerise Castle. Now it's available on a podcast. Part 1, The Protected Class. An examination of the first documented gangs in the LA County Sheriff's Department. There are at least 24 gangs within the LA County Sheriff's Department. They've killed at least 40 people, all of them were men of color. At least 10 of them had mental illness. LA County keeps a list of lawsuits related to the deputy gangs. Litigation related to these cases cost the county over $100 million over the last 30 years. This is very extensive, man. And then Sheriff Alex Villanova.
There you go again.
Once again, part 14, the Compton executioners. Part 10, Friends of the DA. Part 11, law. I mean, she has documented this to the part 3, Linwood's worst nightmare. Part 2, Hunting for Humans. Oh man, this is a hell of a report. The tradition of violence, the history of deputy gangs in LA County Sheriff's Department, an investigative series. Let me take a look at part 2 and see what she says. The rise of the Vikings, referred to as Gang LSV 25, Linwood Barrio Sheriff Station 25. I'm watching the officer right now. He's throwing up the L, Linwood Vikings. Now you got to think, Linwood Vikings. Now this dude looks Latino. Have you ever heard of a Viking that was Latino? So who do I identify with? They identify with the white supremacists. They're identifying with the Anglo-white. So it says the LA Times reported that the Linwood station boasted a map of Linwood in the shape of Africa. The racist cartoons of black men, the mock ticket to Africa on the wall. Lynn says regular activities for the Vikings include murder, assault with deadly weapons, trespassing in the homes, and torture. The people were terrified, he says. If you are black and brown and walking down the street, it's fair game. The Vikings spray painted walls and power poles around their jurisdiction to mark their turf. An LSVS 25 tag even reportedly turned up at the LA County Criminal Court outside of the door of Judge Lance Ido, who oversaw the O.J. Simpson case. 2 deputies also reported seeing LVS 25 carved onto 2 additional vehicles. The Vikings even adopted street terms to communicate with each other, referring to members as homeboys and veteran officers as OG. A group of Vikings who covered the early morning shift called themselves OGCF. The term started off as an acronym for Original Gangster Crime Fighter, but later came to incorporate a Spanish language slur for black people. Yet another reason for anti-black racism crime bill. Man, do you know these folks got merchandise of cups and iPad cases for sale?
Yeah.
A whole gang. Man. I mean, she got this documented to a T. I mean, these folks they're 10 times worse than the LA gangs, bro. 10 times worse. Whoa. Oh man. I'm gonna have to read this in entirety at some point. But yeah, let me bookmark this. This is crazy. Now this sister did a real good. But see, this is the kind of stuff that I say the Congressional Black Caucus, they should be bringing this to Harris and Trump right now. They should be saying, all right, what y'all gonna do about this? Whoever's gonna do something about this, we can start looking at our vote. But if you ain't talking about doing something about this, no vote. See, that's what they supposed to be doing. But what they do with them is they probably give them a chicken sandwich and a couple $100,000 and say, hey, you know, ignore them niggas. Now check this out. This is some folks who's clowning Tim Scott. Now this is kind of funny. Fair use.
Another user would write, all that tap dancing for VP trying to impress the white man didn't get you anywhere, did it?
So they're showing a picture. They got Vivek, that Indian dude that was talking about Juneteenth is stupid. Then he started talking about Martin Luther King. You see what I'm saying? Then they got Tim Scott and they got this other coon here. This dude, it was some black folks that pulled up on him. I think I sent you that video where they said, hey, what's your stance on reparations? And he got to talking about, well, how are we going to determine who's eligible for it? And then he finally conceded to, well, you know, my folks is from Jamaica or something like that. And so, okay, yeah, nigga, you're not eligible. You got to get yours from CARICOM in the UK. No, your folks ain't from here. So, of course, you wouldn't be eligible for a reparation claim. You would have to go through CARICOM, and they actually have a reparation claim. And I support those brothers. Matter of fact, if some brothers needed some donations or whatever, I support the Caribbean getting their reparations. Absolutely. I'm not eligible for it. I'm not eligible for it. I'm not supposed to get that. My folks ain't from the Caribbean, but I support it. I support it 1,000%. I support that 1,000%. Yes, absolutely. Y'all, they have a reparation claim, I think, against the UK or something. I support those brothers 1,000%. I want them to have every dime, and I don't want a penny. So that brother was basically trying to say, you know, they asked him, what he thinks about it, and he says, oh, we shouldn't have it, and he's making up all kinds of excuses. So it's some folks now that's kind of clowning him, Tim Scott, and Vivek, that you did all this tap dancing and they picked JD Vance.
Noticed. Now, if you all remember, Paul Mooney had a famous saying that applies to this exact situation. If Mooney were still with us today, he would say those politicians of color, referring to Scott and Ramaswamy, got their wake-up call. Today we have our very own comedy hype analyst, Lab Love, and Marvin Hunter on the show to talk about it. Now, before we dive into the conversation, let's talk about the definition of a wake-up call. I'm pretty sure both of y'all are familiar with this, but for our audience, so it describes an incident where a